Guys, so we're back at it. We're back at the plan of intent. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching my last video. We're back at it now. All right, so the plan of investigation is where you will first head when you are starting your SBA. So after you've chosen your artifacts, you will head to your plan of investigation. Now, firstly, when you're doing the plan of investigation, you will first introduce your topic and your theme. So if you look at this SBA, you will see that it says, I decided on the topic academic performance in Jamaican secondary schools, which was taken from my group's theme academic performance. Now, after this, the rubric states that you should tell the reason you chose the topic. Now, this says, and it should be an intellectual reason. It shouldn't just be a reason that is dry like that. It should sound intellectual. It should sound valid. Like that's really the reason you were inspired to do this SBA. So this person writes, I chose this topic as I realized that the secondary schools in Jamaica are of different streams in that some are considered brighter than the rest. I would like to find the issues associated with all these schools so as to one day create appropriate strategies to either continue consistency, to either continue the consistency of excellent performance or rid the causes of low academic performance. That reason is a very intellectual. Brilliant. Now, after you've given your reason, you will state the benefits you will get from this SBA as a student of English, not as a student of social studies, not as a student of POB, not as a student of mathematics, but as a student of English language. So those benefits that you will attain from this SBA should be associated with that of the English language classroom. How can you benefit from this SBA? Now, as an English language student, you can benefit in more than one ways. Because you're reading so much content, your vocabulary can develop. Because you're reading the language, your communication within the language can get more effective. You can develop your writing skills because you're doing the oral presentation, which we'll talk about later in the session. You will develop effective speaking skills within the language. So let's hear what the student says. As a student of English, I want to be able to explain my topic thoroughly, and also I want to improve my vocabulary, analytical and problem solving skills. Now, I am finding a problem with that reason as because I want to be able to explain my topic thoroughly sounds like social studies, and I deliberately put that right there. That is not what what should have been written. This student could have written that as a student of English, I want to be able to communicate more effectively within the English language and improve my vocabulary as well as my analytical and problem solving skills. Right? And analytical and problem solving skills, we may say that's a little mathematics, but we do problem solving skills and analysis in languages also. That comes under the broader topic comprehension, and we know that that's a part of English language. So now, after you've given your 3 benefits, because that's marked out of 3 on the rubric, you will see 10 on the rubric, but the teacher is supposed to divide it by 2 after marking. Alright? Now, to find information on my topic, and before I continue there, what you're going to do now, those artifacts that you have researched and decided on, you're going to now say, you're going to tell us all the artifacts that you search. So if you search newspaper articles, tell us what you will do. Right? Tell us what you will do. The SBA, the plan of investigation, is written in the future tense, guys. Most of it is written predominantly in the future tense, most of it. Now, to find information on my topic, I intend to use newspaper articles, magazines, and a poem from internet sources. And you have to tell their source. Don't give the exact source, but tell us the broad source. Like if it's from the internet, if it's from just regular newspaper, let us know. So he's trying to say right here that all are from internet sources. Now, after you've done that, you will now say what you will use these artifacts to do in the SBA. Why do we need the artifacts in the SBA? We need it to inform our reflections 1 and 2, and we need it to inform our written report, as well as we need it to read and inspire us to create a beautiful oral presentation. Right? And there are many other reasons why you would need the for using the artifacts. Alright, so this person has these artifacts will inform my oral presentation, and they will also provide me with the content of reflections 1 and 2. Now moving on to reflection 1. Now this person chose an article, 2 articles, sorry, and they also chose a poem. Now, what you're doing in reflection 1 is telling the assessor how the artifacts has changed your thinking. How the artifacts has changed your thinking. Now, you're supposed to only state how the artifacts have changed your thinking. Yes, you're going to give a little synopsis of what you've read, but not too much, like a sentence or so, because the reflections are like 150 words. The plan of investigation, I forgot to mention that it's 100 words. We're not necessarily counting how many words you have, but we're just saying that don't crowd up your page too much. So, reflection 1. The first artifact, a poem entitled English Sucks, and he did not name the poet, speaks about the narrator who is poor in English and the negative impact that it had upon his social life. Then and there, he just gives a synopsis, or he gives a little summary, like a 1-sentence summary of what the poem is about. He tells us about what he has just read. Now, in reading this poem, this is where he begins to tell you where his mind begins to change. In reading this poem, I realized how English aids in the speaking and writing skills, and perhaps these skills should be evident in the classroom so the students can learn the language better. It would be good if he quoted a line or two to back up what his point is. We're not saying this is a failing grade, we're not saying that, but we're just saying if the teacher is marking, we always want to see evidence. We should practice our students to present evidence when writing. So it would be good if he selected a line or two to back up that. When he was reading this poem, you realized how English aids in speaking and writing skills. What in the poem made him realize that English aids in the speaking and writing skills? Now, the second artifact and guys, some of you have the notion, some of you have the idea rather, that the reflection 1 is about artifact 1, reflection 2 is about artifact 2, and reflection 3 is about your third artifact. No, it's not like that. Your reflections 1 should be about all your artifacts, how all the artifacts changed your thinking. Now, the second artifact, an article entitled Education Performance in Failing Schools by former Minister of Education Andrew Holness, speaks about the several different schools and their failing performance. According to the then Minister of Education, Honorable Andrew Holness, he floated an idea about having a high school diploma. Now, he gives a synopsis of what the article is about. Now you're supposed to state how his mind, how his thinking has developed because of this article. This will be a way of motivating secondary school students to improve their performance in order to be awarded. It occurred to me that this is where it began. It occurred to me that the minister is reaching out in order to get improvements in an external examinations in external examinations such as CSEC. This is a great move by the minister, as I see where his idea will attract only solutions to academic performance issues or allow for consistency where schools are doing extremely well. Again, he needs to quote where in the a little example of where his point was proven. Now, and the third piece, which is another article, is that the second article entitled School Report Bagwalk Adding Value to Students by Ian Allen speaks about how Bagwalk High School implemented strategies to improve academic performance. Now that's a synopsis. A part of the article even touched on dedicated teachers who realized the needs of the students and sacrificed their weekends to move them to a higher academic level. That's still a synopsis. Now, this is where we began. This was very inspirational and made me appreciate my English language teacher more, as she does the same thing done at the Bagwalk High School. I believe that if more dedicated teachers exist, the students will do better academically. Now again, he needs to present where. In the in the article is saying all of that. Now, this is what they call the hard part. Entry 2 is where we discuss the language of all three artifacts. Entry 2 is where we discuss the language of all three artifacts. Now, the poem was very entertaining in that the writer uses it in a mocking ungrammatical technique so that the readers can realize that the persona has a grammatical problem. This use of language is a way which helps us to enhance the whole idea of the poem. Again, he needs to give evidence from the poem that yes, the writer presented it in a mocking ungrammatical technique. I do understand what the student is trying to say, because I read the poem. This poem is written, but you can see that it's written in poor English. The grammar is incorrect, but you can still understand it, right? The words are spelled incorrectly. So he's saying that the poet is mocking the ungrammatical technique that the persona has, that the persona portrays, you know? So that's the first one. That's not so bad, but he still needs to give sources, or evidence rather. The second source is an article which gives relevant information. This informs the readers about how the effect of failing school grades has on several communities. The use of language in this article is so clear that one may see that the writer gives a general idea about the strategies suggested by the Minister of Education. That's a synopsis. The writer uses statistics and simple vocabulary so one can have a clear understanding of the article. Additionally, he structures his points in an orderly fashion so that the readers are able to find main points easily. Before I move on to the third paragraph, what I normally tell students about discussing language is this. Write how the writer made you understand. What did the writer do to make you understand? Did he write the letters in bold? Did he write important words in bold rather? Did he use the Jamaican Creole? Did he use synonyms where he used the big words? Did he use simple vocabulary? Did you not understand the article? So it's not only the good part of the article. You can discuss what made the article not so clear when you're discussing language. Now, was the writer writing it for a bigger audience? Comment on the tone. Was it a solemn tone? Was it sorrowful? Was it entertaining? Comment on the tone, especially for the literature students. Comment on the tone of the piece. Now, the other article is similar. to the previous. However, it is a more lengthy read. Despite this, the language is quite engaging, as the writer uses an exciting and proud tone to show that the academic performance at Bavwalk is getting better. See, he commented on the tone. Unlike the first article, the writer uses testimonials so that it can be deemed reliable and valid, and he uses headings for each paragraph, which is a good strategy for such a long article, as it immediately tells readers what a particular paragraph is about. That is how he's saying he understands, but he should have sourced it. That's how he's saying he understands his article, because the writer uses testimonies, and he uses subheadings to tell you. Have you ever read rather a Gleaner or a newspaper in your country, and you see subheadings for each title in an article? That is what we're talking about. It tells you what the paragraph is going to be about, which is a good way to communicate with audience. And that's why he thought that was necessary for discussion in language. So I trust that you understand that. Now, entry 3 has nothing to do with the artifacts. I repeat, reflection 3 has nothing to do with the artifacts. All you're doing is telling your assessor about the process of your SBA. So in Jamaican terms, where you go through. What did you go through? What happened? What led up to you understanding the SBA? What was give us a testimony of doing the SBA? Was it difficult? How was it when you heard about this SBA? What was it like? How did you feel? Did you eventually understand it? Who helped you? Who inspired you? Give us the process. Tell us about writing your plan of investigation. Tell us about your first draft. Tell us about your second draft. Tell us about your final draft. Let us know. Then, that's the process. You're going to tell us about the effects of the SBA. The effects meaning, did you learn to work in groups better? Are you now a better speaker of the English language? Are you now a better writer of the English language? The effects are basically those expected benefits that you wrote. The answers to the expected benefits that you wrote in your plan of investigation. So in the plan of investigation, you wrote that you will be able, this SBA will allow you to develop your vocabulary. It will develop your writing skills as well as your speech skills. Now, that's it for today. See my next video, and which will discuss the written report, and I will also give you a synopsis of the rubric. Thank you for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe.